Hello graphic designers, this is Mr. Granlund here, and I'm going to take you through how to use GIMP to create some projects. So we're going to take a look at how to start up a new project inside of GIMP. This is your first graphic arts picture. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to create a new image, and this Create New Image thing pops up. If I click in the Advanced options here, I can see the resolution, and I have my width and height and pixels. I'm going to switch this to inches, and we're going to do a width of 8.5 inches and a height of 11 inches. So it's a regular sheet of paper. Resolution 300. This is pretty good for most of, pretty much all of your projects will be perfect. And if you want to try a template, there's different templates in here, and I believe, yes, US letter is the same as the exact template that we're creating here. I'm going to click OK, and it throws a color on the background because I have this color background chip here. The tools are up here on the left. Your first look at this will probably show something like this, where it has multiple windows here, they kind of spaced apart. I'm going to click on Windows and do Single Window Mode. And that's going to look really similar to Photoshop here. Some of the tools that we have are our selection tools. Right here, we can select by color. Scissors select tool, foreground select tool. So these are all of our selection tools. We have some path tools, color pickers, zoom adjustments, measurement tools, moving tools, alignment tools, any sort of tool that you have here. If you hover and just leave your mouse there for a minute, it'll show you what the tool does or what the tool name is, describe a little bit about it, and it'll show you any sort of keyboard shortcuts that tool might have. I'm going to reset my view here, so I'm going to pull this over here, and we're just going to try some of these tools. So I'm going to go to my paintbrush, and under the paintbrush tool we have, over on the right side, we have different filters. So if we click on these, we can see what these different filters do when we paint with them. And we have brush options, so any of these tools that you select have options down in this lower left hand corner here. So for instance, I can crank up the size or down, the spacing, so now it's kind of got this dotted effect, or crank it down as well. There's more options down below here. You can smooth the stroke as well. So if I get a different color going here, and I select the color by clicking on the color chips here, and you saw me use a keyboard shortcut. I'm using the two bracket buttons. They're kind of these rectangular bracket buttons on the keyboard, and that'll make our brush smaller or bigger, which is actually the same keyboard shortcut in Photoshop. And you can see the brush size here going up as I hold down that key. Now it's important that we try some of these other tools. So I'm going to use that shear tool, and now I'm going to use this kind of perspective three-dimensional tool. You can kind of see that it tips it around in 3D space. I'm going to use this flip tool, and if you see in the tool options, I can change it. I can flip it horizontally, warp transform, kind of smudging and smearing things around. And I have text tools here. I'm going to change my color. Click black, okay? And right now, it's all about just playing and trying different things, seeing what this program does. Maybe try some pattern fill. Use some pine boards. And over on the right side here, we have our different layers. We have layers, we have channels, we have paths, and we have our history. So for instance, if I go to our history here, and let's say I didn't like what I did, and I want to go back, like 10 steps, or maybe even all the way back to the beginning, I can do that in the history panel here, which is over on the right side. So far I'm loving what I'm doing here. Try some of these different filters also. Now the reason we have layers is so that we can separate the different things in different parts of the drawings and adjust them separately. So for instance, I can go over here and create a new layer. I can name that layer. I'm going to name it name, and go ahead and I'm going to do some airbrushing on that layer, and I'm going to amazing, and I'm going to do some erasing and this gradient tool too, because I like that. Now also on this layer, let's say I just wanted to affect this layer and not all the sweet stuff that I've done on the other layers underneath it. I can also apply filters here, so I can go to some generic convolution matrix. And try some of these. Other layers or other filters here. Some of them may not do anything. Or some of them you might not even notice what they do exactly. And that's okay. That's all part of understanding and playing with GIMP here. I'm going to go ahead and go to the internet, and I'm going to copy an image. So I've got this picture right here. Whenever I'm selecting a picture, I want to make sure that it shows up the larger image here, and then copy this one over here. So right click, copy image, hop back over to GIMP, and edit and paste. And now I can apply that filter to it. Neon, that looks sweet. And up above here where it says opacity, now if I adjust this opacity, you can start to see through it. I can also adjust this, what's called mode, or blending mode, and try some of these other things. Well, that got rid of all the black pixels, and I think that looks pretty sweet too. And I'm going to take this, and I'm going to try some stuff here. I'm going to have that do HSL color. That doesn't look good. I don't like that. Let's try that. Nope. I don't like that either. Difference. Okay, I'll live with that. Try some things out. When you're all done, save it as a JPEG. Now, if you're going to work on a picture from day to day, you're going to need to save it as some sort of file that you can continue to edit. So for instance, I'll pick a location where I want to save it, and it's going to be this XCF file. So let's say I wanted to work on this over several days. I'm going to go to firstpicture.xcf, and I will save that. But if I'm done, I'm going to go to edit, or file and export as, or even save as. And this is where I'm going to export it as a Photoshop file, or a JPEG rather. I'm just going to take that suffix right there. I'm going to type in JPG and export. And when it has the quality thing that comes up, just crank that up to 100 and click export. Now you're ready to hop back over to Schoology and you can turn it in to the area. So courses, graphic arts online, or whatever class you're doing this in. And we'll go to our Unit 1, and you'll click on First Graphic Arts Picture, and you can turn it in there.